Now, a lot of the times knee problems don't necessarily have to come from the knee. The knee is the mechanical compromised joint structure in this thing called a kinetic chain from your foot to your hip and then the rest of your body. So as you walk around and as you bend forward and you get in and out of your car or you go upstairs, your foot needs to plant onto the ground. You have to push to get yourself to the next step. So your hip muscles work a certain way, your ankle works a certain way, and your knee is left in the middle to try and figure out how to compromise or stabilize itself. It's either gonna be in a compromised position or you're gonna end up strong enough to stabilize it because the joints are doing what they're supposed to. One of the most common issues that I see is the knee actually falls in this way, which is called a valgus collapse of the knee, that comes from lack of mobility either in the ankle or a lack of strength in the hip. This is a really easy way to assess this at home. So you take a stick or a broom or something like that, and as you get into this lunge position, one knee down, the other knee in this position, you're gonna go to try and stand up, and you're gonna see if your knee falls inside of that line or not to decide if you have an unstable knee that's either coming from a lack of strength in your hip or a lack of mobility in your ankle. And as you go to stand up, it should look something like this, okay? And you should be able to keep that knee out. What you're looking for is this. This is nice and straight, and as you go to stand up, that happens. That is a very dangerous thing for your knee, and it sets you up for all kinds of injuries, MCL tears, meniscus tears, tracking problems in your knee. And one of the most common things that I see that solves most knee problems is just stabilizing that knee outside of a plane like that or outside of a stick. And most of those times, the chronic knee issue will go away if you can just get that knee outside of that stick. Something you can do to try and solve this problem is if you're noticing that your knee is falling inside of that stick line, what you can do is grab yourself a band. These are pretty cheap. You can get a whole roll of this on Amazon for probably 20 bucks, and this is like a small piece that I cut off. You can get exercise tubing, or you can even use one of those cable machines inside your gym if you have a gym membership. You're gonna wanna take your knee and try to purposefully pull it into that angle and pull it inside of the line of that stick on purpose. And you're gonna do lunges against resistance, trying to keep your knee outside of the stick. So you grab onto this band and you're gonna wanna anchor it somewhere. So you have it anchored maybe into a wall, or you have a friend holding it or something like that. You tie it around the leg of a dining room table, whatever. Hold the stick in front of your leg. Try not to use it to push off of too much. And when you go to stand up, your goal is to try and, against the resistance of the pull, squeeze your muscles back here in your glute to squeeze nice and hard to get it outside of that stick, and train yourself to strengthen those muscles with inline lunges with a band that's holding your knee outside. And you can do that 100 times right in a row, as much as you can tolerate. That muscle is not designed to look nice in a bathing suit. We're not trying to make a thick muscle that looks big. We are trying to create endurance. Every time you take a step, that muscle is supposed to squeeze to hold your knee out. Every time you go up a flight of stairs, every time you get in and out of your car, every time you step up onto a curb, that muscle is designed to pull your knee out. It's not really a muscle that needs a lot of strength. It's a muscle that needs a lot of endurance. So we're not gonna use weights and do 4 sets of 10. We're gonna do as many as you possibly can to fatigue. Every time you take a step, that muscle has to contract. So if you think about how many steps you probably take in a day, most people, the goal is 10,000 steps. Let's cut it in a third. Let's say you take arbitrary number, 2,000 steps in a day, which is super low. You're probably getting much more than that. If you take 2,000 steps in a day, you got 1,000 on the left, 1,000 on the right. That muscle needs to contract 1,000 times a day. So how many do you think you need to be doing? 4 sets of 10 just isn't gonna cut it. You gotta do as many as you possibly can to train the endurance of that muscle so that it doesn't fatigue when you're going up a flight of stairs at 10 o'clock at night to go to bed. It's an endurance muscle, and you gotta do as many as you can until you fatigue.